Hi guys, it's SimLicy here, so welcome to another speed build. So today I am building another family home, and this time I am building one here in the world of Terratosa, which is of course the new world that came in the My Wedding Stories pack, which is fairly new. I think it's only like 3 weeks old by now, but yeah, I wanted to build something for a couple of newlyweds because of course it is a wedding themed pack. So I thought a nice home to start out a life together would be perfect to kind of go along with the theme. And I just really enjoyed building this home and making it just like super cozy, and thinking of the Sims in mind was super fun too. So hopefully you guys will like the way it turns out. I'm completely obsessed. It's one of my favorite builds I've ever done, and I know I say that all the time, but it's true. I love it, and I feel like that's the case all the time. I feel like I get a new favorite build like almost weekly, but I'm really proud of it. So hopefully you guys like it as much as I do. You'll notice that I start off with a different color scheme than what I end up with. I originally used this lighter color of this stone texture that came from Cottage Living, and these windows that came from My Wedding Stories, and I love the color combination. I think it's so pretty, and I would probably end up changing this build to this color combination if I played in this house myself, but as I was building it, I wanted it to feel like older and more, not necessarily run down, just not as well taken care of or updated at all. And so I switched out the windows to be the stone windows that came from Cottage Living, and I also changed the wallpaper just to be a darker color, just to feel a bit older and a bit dirtier. This just felt too clean and updated, and I just wanted it to have more of an older feel because I imagined the Sims that moved into this house, they've been recently married of course, and they bought this old like kind of farmhouse here next to the waterfalls, which I love this area. It's so pretty, but I thought it would be nice if, like the story is, they bought an older house to fix up and then to eventually sell and buy a bigger piece of land, a bigger home once they have like a bigger family. I do think that they have a little one on the way. I did build a nursery in this home, which I think is so cute and so sweet. But yeah, I just imagine they're just ready to start their family. They have a little farm here and a little vineyard, which I'm completely obsessed with. This is something I definitely wanted to build since I found out about this pack, and I'm so happy with the way it turned out. I really want to build like a larger vineyard, but I was really inspired by a build that I saw fairly recently by a channel that I just found out about, and her name's Honey Bella. I will have it linked in the description box. You guys should definitely check her out. She makes the most beautiful CC builds, and I just could watch them forever. They're amazing and just so detailed. But I watched this one in particular that was a vineyard build, and it was just really beautiful, and she used the wisteria vines that came from Cottage Living as grapevines, and so that's what I ended up doing here in this build, and I just thought it was so smart and it worked really nicely. I also ended up actually having my Sim plant grapes along the wisteria as well, and I made sure that it kind of, once the plants grew out, they're in the wisteria vines, so it feels more like they're part of the, hopefully this makes sense, but it feels like they're part of the actual wisteria vines, and it makes them feel more like actual grapevines, and your Sims can harvest them. I did play test that thoroughly. The grapes are actually ready to be harvested during the fall season, and so I switched it to fall when I was play testing it and made sure that everything grew properly because I really wanted to make sure that that functioned as best as I could make it function, because I felt like that was pretty important. But anyways, here I'm starting to work on the landscaping. I wanted to incorporate a lot of different plants that I saw in the surrounding area, like lavender and this grass that you see a lot, and then I also threw in some sunflowers and some different sort of more like succulent plants, because there's this amazing debug agave plant that's actually blossoming in the debug menu of My Wedding Stories, or the live edit objects. It's beautiful. I'm completely obsessed with it. And so I incorporated some different ones, and I'm also doing a stone pathway. I don't use this stone terrain paint enough, but I'm really happy that I thought to use it here because I think it blends in with this world really nicely. And yeah, you'll also notice that I put an animal shed that came from Cottage Living and also a chicken coop, because I imagine that this is more like just sort of a small hobby farm. Maybe they harvest some wool, they collect some eggs, maybe sell them at like a local market or something. They just really want to have like their own farm, but they couldn't afford like a large big farm right away, so they bought this little house, and yeah, they're starting to make it their own and they're starting their family. I don't think the baby has been born yet. I do think that, you know, they're currently pregnant. They're going to have the baby soon. But of course, if you decide to play in this, you could have the baby already, or you could age them up to a toddler or a child. There's definitely room to switch up the bedroom and stuff like that. But it is only 2 bedrooms, so you probably wouldn't want like too large of a family living here. But maybe once the Sims actually save up some money and eventually sell this home, then they could afford like a big vineyard mansion that they can move into. That'd be so cool. But anyways, over here I'm using the terrain manipulation to create sort of a hillside for the vineyards to be placed on, and I think this actually turned out really nicely. I also played around with a lot of terrain paint, trying to make it feel really natural and like everything has its place. Here I went in and got some grapes to actually put along the vineyards, or along the grapevines rather. And so yeah, I think this actually looks really good. And here I'm just finding like a wooden post or something to put the grapevines on. And then I also use this wisteria to yeah, look like actual grapevines, which looks so good. Definitely check out Honeybella. I'm completely obsessed. I watch like every video that she comes out with now. I'm just, yeah, I'm amazed. Everything's so beautiful. But anyways, yeah, these are the wooden posts that I found. I think they came from, I'm not exactly sure which pack, but anyways, you can probably see it on screen. It's just a bit small for me to see right now, and it's in the live edit objects. I'm of course using tool mod with the better build and buy mod, and that's why I can see things in the regular build catalog that you guys can't typically see, and you don't have to turn on the cheat to actually see them. They're just available, and you can just toggle it off in the little menu on the right hand side. But yeah, here I used some rocks around the hillside just to sort of make it look more blended into the surroundings, because unfortunately lots are very flat. I mean, most of the time it's not that big of a deal, but when you really want something to feel like it's built into a hillside or something, having very flat lots can be kind of tricky. But I think rocks and stuff is a good way to make it feel blended in and like it's not a out of place hill. So yeah, I put a little picnic table up on top of the hill, and then one of these live edit objects, umbrellas, which are so cool. I love the variety. There's a few different colors, but then there's also opened and closed versions too, which are super cool. There's also a hot air balloon in the live edit objects, which I did not realize. So I thought that was pretty cool. I'm not sure if I will ever get a chance to use it in a build, but I'm sure there's gonna be plenty of people that get really creative with it. But yeah, I just put some barrels over there thinking they were wine barrels, and just adding some more terrain paint and of course landscaping. I also ended up putting a live edit objects truck in the driveway too, and I put some like bags of soil and stuff in the back of it. I used a lot of stuff from Cottage Living. Cottage Living is a really good pack. I think it pairs really nicely with this pack, especially since there was no like furniture set or anything that came along with this Mediterranean style. Of course, Cottage Living is not Mediterranean themed, but I think the items actually pair really nicely with this whole style of the world. So I'm really happy to have that pack, since it's mostly just wedding stuff, which I mean makes sense for a wedding themed pack. Oh, and something I should probably mention, the Sims team announced that there's going to be another patch to go along with the gameplay. I'm not going to talk about the gameplay because I really know nothing about it. I haven't played the pack at all, but I've definitely seen that there's a lot of glitches. So if you guys are holding off on buying it because of the gameplay glitches, I would definitely maybe wait and see if this patch fixes it. Hopefully it does. I mean, I just can't really say much as like a player's perspective, like in live mode, but as a building perspective, I really am enjoying the pack. So I guess it depends on what you're looking for, if you're looking for gameplay or if you're looking for just a new world. Yeah, that might change your mind or influence your decision. But yeah, anyways, I switched up the color of the house, also the windows. I also added some more sunflowers, and then I'm also switching up the window boxes. The other ones were super cute. I really loved the red flowers, but I felt like the pop of red was just a little bit too clean looking, and I wanted something that looked a little bit more rustic and natural, just to sort of add to that older feel. And here I added a truck in the driveway, and I think that looks super cute. Also a bicycle, and then I'm just adding a few other details around. Right now I'm just finding this trash can, and I placed it over there by the animal shed. I also end up placing a clothesline on the exterior and a few other sort of like live edit objects from Cottage Living that I think add a lot of detail and are just so super cute. I'm completely obsessed with the live edit objects from that pack. I can't say enough good things about it. And also this pack too, My Wedding Stories, comes with a few really nice live edit objects, like the plants especially, there's really good trees. There's also this really pretty trailing vine that I used a couple of times on the exterior of this build. And yeah, that agave plant is one of my favorite things I've ever seen. But anyways, here I'm moving on to the interior. The interior of this home is quite cozy. It's quite small, but that's definitely what I was going for. I wanted it just to feel like an older, small home that's nice and kind of quaint and cozy. It ends up having 2 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms and a pretty open living area. The dining room is in the kitchen just because there wasn't enough space to have like a full-on dining room, but I wasn't too worried about that. And I also tried to pick furniture pieces that looked a little bit more mismatched and everything wasn't so like perfectly placed together. And so I tried to make it still feel cohesive. Hopefully it does, but I definitely didn't want it to feel like these Sims have a lot of money, but I didn't want the home to be empty either. And I also didn't want it to be dirty because I did think about adding some like cracks and stuff on the exterior. Maybe a few would have added to that older feel, but I didn't want it to feel like the house is falling apart necessarily. It's just a little bit outdated is more the feeling that I wanted it to have. But yeah, in the interior, I use this pretty stone flooring that came from Jungle Adventure. I think Jungle Adventure goes really nicely with this set as well, or this pack rather. I think that and Cottage Living just pair really nicely. But yeah, I decided that I wanted these Sims to have some bees as well. So over here, I'm just finding a little spot to put a bee box. I felt like that would be pretty nice to have over here by the grapes. And then I put a picnic basket up on top of the picnic table. And then I'm just finding the clothesline. I thought about having a wash bucket outside. You could of course place one if you want your Sims to use one, but I really wanted it to have more of that European feel of having just a washing machine inside and then drying your clothes outside. But yeah, I also used this stone fireplace that came from Cottage Living. There's so many things from Cottage Living. And I also sized it down. Something that is really cool about sizing up or down fireplaces in The Sims 4 is the fire actually scales with it, which is so cool. When I first scaled up or down a fireplace, I thought the fire would stay its original size, but once I play tested it, it doesn't. The fire scales with it, so that's really good to know. And I really wanted to add really like sentimental decorations in this build, so I add some of those bottles that you can find in the live edit objects. You can also unlock them through gameplay. I believe you can dig them up on the beach in the town center area, but they have like little notes in them. There's like little messages in a bottle, so I put a few of them up here on the mantle. I also put a couple of little notes around. I think they're the ones that came from Strangerville, but I imagine since these are newlyweds, maybe they're leaving little like love notes around their home for each other. And then I also placed a wedding topper up on top of the mantle as well, thinking that was something that they kept from their wedding that just happened really recently. So I thought that was kind of sweet. But yeah, you'll notice that I'm using this couch. It came from the Nifty Knitting set. I felt like the couch felt a little bit modern, but then the chair felt older, and then they have an older TV and coffee table, and the rug looks a little bit older. So I wanted some things to feel modern, some things to feel old, some things to feel like hand-me-down, some things to feel maybe even they came from the flea market or something like that. So I really wanted to have like a mixed matched feel. Hopefully it doesn't look too chaotic or anything. I really tried to still make it feel like it was purposeful and everything kind of goes together, even though they're not the same style. So yeah, hopefully I achieved that. And I especially wanted the kitchen to feel old, so I used these counters that came from the Country Kitchen kit, and there I just sized up the refrigerator. And so this is something that I've seen a couple of CC builders do recently, is actually size up certain furniture pieces that I wouldn't necessarily think to size up, and the refrigerator is one of those. I did actually playtest this kitchen and I forgot that I sized it up, and I didn't notice any weird interactions with the Sims actually opening the refrigerator, but I didn't watch that closely because I did forget that I did that. So I mean, it seemed to work fine. So I did have to remove a couple of items on the counter just because the Sim couldn't actually use everything properly. And then actually I put a teapot on top of the stove and that was blocking the Sims too. So I just had to move it to the other burner and everything seemed to work fine. So you might notice a few changes if you decide to download this from the gallery. I believe like a couple of the things I changed after I took the screenshot, so you won't see them there, but yeah, there I just changed the color of the couch. I felt like the green just really clashed with like the green of the chairs in the dining room. It was just like it was a bit too crazy looking. So it still feels updated and modern, but it's not that like green color that yeah, just didn't really work for me. But yeah, here I'm adding some clutter and decorations in the kitchen. That teapot that I just put on the stove is the one that I was talking about that actually blocked your Sims from being able to cook, and so I just moved it to the burner to the left, and that seemed to work fine. And then also the decorations where the bag of groceries are, I was able to keep the bag of groceries, but I moved the note and then I moved the cookbooks. I believe I just moved them over to that cabinet next to the stove. But yeah, I also put a couple of pet food bowls in here, so maybe they have a dog or two or a cat or something. I didn't put a litter box or any other decorations for cats, so I think it's a dog, but of course you could easily add a litter box somewhere in like this hallway or the bathroom or something. This is where I put the washing machine. I actually ended up using a platform behind it, and that was also blocking your Sims from being able to use the washing machine. So all I had to do was pull it forward slightly, so it's a little bit away from the wall, but I just put a shelf behind it sort of just to fill in the gap. But of course, if you want it to be completely against the wall, you could just remove the platform behind it. Platforms cause so many glitches. But yeah, that's it for that hallway that leads to the back of the build. It's just kind of like a nice little kind of like a mudroom area. But yeah, down here is the downstairs bathroom. It's the only one on this floor, but it's a full bathroom. There's a shower and tub combo, a toilet, a sink, decorations, of course. Here I had the staircase actually clipping through the wall, and so I tried finding something that would cover it up, and I couldn't really find anything that I thought really worked necessarily, and so I tried to just make it look like the robes were actually hanging from it. I don't know if it really does, but I tried to make it feel that way. I think I might even end up moving the robes and then put something else in its place. It's actually been a little while since I built this. I got kind of behind on voiceovers. Both the one that I shared yesterday and this one are builds that I did like a couple of weeks ago. And so yeah, if I forget anything, that is why. Oh yeah, I ended up covering it up with a painting. I think that was probably my best option. I really wish that those stairs would not clip through the wall because I really like them a lot. They came from Jungle Adventure, and I think they just work really nicely with this style. Of course, there's some stone stairs that came from Base Game, but I believe each of the step is that like terracotta color, and I liked this one because I felt like the brown was more subtle and not so just, I don't know, it just didn't go along with the style, and I felt like the brown one did. But yeah, here I'm just adding some entryway items, some plants, and some artwork. I also really liked using the shelf that came from Cats and Dogs that have the dog leashes hanging from it, but I also merged in this like coat rack that came from Base Game, and I tried to make it look like the coat and the hat were actually hanging from the hooks. I mean, it doesn't really because they have their own hooks, but I still think it looks good. But anyways, moving on to the second floor, I just put a few decorations in the hallway, not really a whole lot because the hallway is very small. But this is going to be the master bedroom. I loved using this bed in here. This is actually a Base Game bed, and I believe it's unlocked through the artist career. I'm not exactly sure how or anything. I think it's just like a certain level you get to, you unlock it. I don't know, it's been so long since I've actually played the game, but I think this bed is perfect for the style of build, and I felt like the sunflowers just paired really nicely with having sunflowers on the exterior, and I thought it was so cute. But yeah, I really liked picking out the decorations in here. I just have a bookcase, a dresser, a vanity table, and I shovel a few things around trying to find like the best place to put everything. And I love this high back chair that came from Cats and Dogs. I feel like I use it all of the time in like so many different builds, but it just works. It works all the time. But yeah, here I'm just decorating the top of the vanity table with another little note. I just think that's so cute, imagining that they leave each other like little love letters. Like they're just still like in that honeymoon phase. They probably just got back from their honeymoon. I imagine they couldn't afford like a big fancy honeymoon. Maybe they just went somewhere fairly simple. Like they didn't go to some crazy jungle honeymoon adventure in Selvadorada or anything in like Sulani. They probably just went somewhere nice and simple. I don't know where, but I just don't see them having a lot of money. Although I think this house didn't end up looking like as cheap as I had planned. It's still like pretty fully decorated and is probably pretty expensive for The Sims, but I can still pretend. But yeah, here is the second bathroom. It's very similar to the downstairs one. But yeah, it worked pretty nicely. And then over here is going to be the nursery. So in here, I just put a bassinet and some decorations that I thought kind of fit a nursery. Like I was saying, I do think that they haven't had their baby yet. So I tried to just make it feel very neutral and pretty simply decorated. I tried finding things that I thought worked well in a nursery, but you could easily customize it depending on like the color scheme that you want to go for or the decorating style, because I think a lot of these items would be easy just to switch the colors of, and you could easily have like a pink nursery or a blue one, or probably even like a yellow one, maybe a purple one, but this green is just so cute. There's so many items in really nice green colors, like this dresser that I have over here that I turned into a changing table, and the rug and the chair, just so many cute green colors. But yeah, over here I'm just finding some different decorations to put next to the changing pad, and then I also put some books and stuff over here on this dresser. This dresser came from Cottage Living, so did the chair and the rug and these books, so I really used a lot of stuff from that pack. I believe even this vase with flowers came from that pack too. But yeah, I just really enjoyed decorating this room. I also really liked the gallery wall that I put together next to the chair. I don't believe I've ever done a gallery wall in a nursery before, and I think it looks super cute. But yeah, here I'm just finding another piece of artwork to put along this wall, and I ended up getting rid of this painting, and I put a shelf in its place and add a few decorations up on top of it, and then also some of the cross stitch stuff I put above it as well. So yeah, this is basically it for this build. I hope you guys have enjoyed this one. Hopefully you guys like the story and everything, and I hope you guys do enjoy the screenshots. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and please leave any comments or suggestions you have, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye!
How I wish that I might be the one that took some of your load. Be the silence in your storm. I'll be right there, Avalon. How I wish you realized just how wonderful you are when you wear that crooked smile, going right to my heart. How I wish that you could know how your words light up my day. You're the silence in my storm, 'cause you're right here, Avalon.